We have Mr. Tim Pansica from our Finance Council who would like to share a few thoughts with you this evening.
Thank you, Deb. Good evening, everyone. I've been a part of St. Rita, privileged to be a part of St. Rita for about 29 years. I've had 4 children go to the day school, now young adults. I'm happy to say that they were nicely formed here at St. Rita. I've been a part of Finance Committee for a while, and as a parish, I think you know that over time, that parish, particularly Father Birchall, Father Pat, pastoral leadership, school leadership, Finance Council, has been very heavily invested in trying to maintain the day school and the PSR program at the highest possible quality standards. The day school alone, we've invested a lot of money in recent years. Nearly $250,000 recently spent on roofs, masonry, primary school remodeling, some energy-efficient lighting, a lot of air conditioning upgrades in classrooms, and certainly not the least some increased marketing and promotional materials. This past summer alone, we repurposed the library. Many of you see the big move for the expanded preschool. We moved the library to the primary school and invested very heavily in the infrastructure to support the 180 iPads that were acquired last year. And over the past 6 months, the Finance Council has been reviewing a variety of alternate methods to help find ways to find other sources of funding to defray the cost of Catholic education, the day school in particular. We have looked at many successful programs in private schools and other successful programs in other dioceses. For our current day school, marketing initiatives that we put in place are great, but we have decided at Finance Council to add an additional marketing tool for their use. So I'm here today to announce that the St. Rita Scholarship Program is going to be implemented very soon. This program, the purpose of it is to attract students and families who like-minded Catholic values exist within them, and they want to promote our school, our parish, and certainly our faith. We want to retain, obviously, existing families, but clearly we need to not only improve the school's financial foundation by maintaining you in our seats, if you will, but also go out and attract others who are interested in promoting what we're all about here at St. Rita. Now, at the high school and college level, for many of you who have kids in those levels, there are 2 avenues of support for a family to defray the cost of education. One is applying for aid purely on the basis of financial need, and the other, of course, is purely on merits. To be clear, this program we're putting in place is primarily going to be a merit-based program, but it is also going to have a component to modestly strengthen the need-based aid, so it can also help maintain existing families here too. Now, this is not, I repeat, this is not a fill seats program that has failed at many other area institutions. The diocese is watching us very closely here because there is no similar program like this in Northeast Ohio. This is an innovative, cutting-edge program, we feel, and it's set to begin in the fall of 2014. The application process should begin at the end of this year. We're working out mechanics as we speak right now, and they're being refined so you can look for details in the forthcoming months as we move forward. School administration is well aware of what we're doing and been intimately involved in how we're trying to put this together, but they've been in an advisory capacity to date, so they probably will not be able to answer any of your questions. I just wanted to come before this evening, announce this exciting innovation, let you know that how supportive all levels of leadership here are at St. Rita to the Catholic Day School here. We want to further strengthen it and maintain it as school of excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Next on the agenda, we have Deacon Bob, who would like to share some information with you this evening of a religious nature.
Okay, this is 2,000 years of church history in less than like 3 minutes. Confirmation. At one time in church history, confirmation was part of baptism, so it was baptism, confirmation. As time went on, confirmation got separated out from baptism for a lot of reasons. In the Byzantine Church, confirmation, baptism, and receiving Eucharist still happen when we baptize infants. Okay? Not so much with the Roman Catholic Church. So over the years, confirmation got separated out. In 1910, Pope, I can't remember. Pope Pius X said, you know what? We should really have children receive the Eucharist because Jesus said, let the children come to me. So Eucharist was received after confirmation at one point. Well, then it got moved back to like when the children were 7. So the original order of baptism, confirmation, Eucharist got switched to baptism, Eucharist, confirmation. So far so good? Y'all confused? Good, because everybody who hears this is still confused. Anyways, St. Rita's, about, 10 or 12 years ago, in the Diocese of Cleveland, they said, you know what? Let's put all the sacraments back in the right order. Let's make it baptism, confirmation, and then Eucharist at like 7 years old. That went around for about 6 years. And there was a couple parishes that tried that, and we got a new bishop. And the new bishop said, you know what, let's go back to baptism as an infant, Eucharist, and then confirmation later on down the road. All right, how many people have kids that are already confirmed? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Help me get this information out. Okay, so all those parents that are going, okay, how does this work now? Confirmation is going to be in 9th grade this year. And let me tell you why. If you can help me get the word out, that would be good. Because 8th grade is jam-packed. How many 8th grade parents do we have? How many people have had 8th graders in the past? 8th grade year was just crazy. And 8th grade, everything ends. We're done. We're graduated. See ya. Off we go. So 9th grade is a new beginning. And confirmation is not like, I graduated, I'm not going to be a Sunday school anymore. No. Confirmation means I'm going to live my faith more. So that's why it's going to 9th grade. So far, so good. I'll be passing out letters as you leave so that you don't have to read them now. And it gives the history of confirmation in less than 1 page. So, and how we do it here at St. Rita's. So if you could just help me when people go, well, when is confirmation happening, or why is it in 9th grade? You can say, because the bishop put it back to baptism, Eucharist, confirmation at a later age. Okay? Thanks. If you have any questions about religious formation, give me a call. How many people actually get my emails? Truth or dare time? Really good. How many people read my emails? How many people delete them before they even look at them? So send me an email every now and then. Go, yeah, I read this. Thanks. So I know they go somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick and Bob. It's not often that I get to talk to parents in a group like this. So I just brought a few things that I wanted to talk to you about this evening before we turn it over to the teachers. You may have noticed over the past 6 or 7 months that there have been promotional posters and postcards and pamphlets and booklets, things that look like this, that have been splashed all over Solon. We have entered into a new marketing plan. There are so many choices out there for parents to make. We want to be one of those choices for the future. And to do that, we need to market. All of those in business know that if you're going to stay alive and up there where people are looking at you, you need to be out there and you need to be aggressive. And that's what we've done. We have not only these types of promotional materials that we have to send out, but we've been canvassing the area magazines and newspapers, putting in ads whenever we have something that's happening in the community of St. Rita. So from registration to Catholic Schools Week, to promoting our sports program, our science programs, anything that's happening in our school, we're getting the word out. What prompted a lot of the changes that you will see with this marketing plan and also with some of the other things that have happened within our school community was a year and a half ago, there was a marketing group, SDG, that formed and facilitated focus groups of parents from various ages, from primary all the way up to junior high. They asked you a series of questions, they jotted down your comments, they compiled all that information, and they presented it to me, the interim principal at that time. I read all those comments, and I looked at it very seriously and said, we can do better than this, and it's not going to take a lot to do it. Then at the end of last year, after being named principal for St. Rita, I sent out parent and student questionnaires, because I don't know what you're thinking or what questions or ideas that you have if we don't ask. And I asked for your honest feedback. Notice I didn't ask for anybody to put their names on there. I can't analyze your handwriting, so it was purely reading objective material, which gave me a wealth of information in order to start making some important changes and start establishing some positive direction that we can move in as a community. Out of that, your communication to me of things that you felt were important, things that we needed to improve on, things that we do really well and things that we do really poorly, we designed the parent handbook that you have picked up over the last 3 curriculum nights. So there's one for each family. Many of you said, there is not enough information for us out there. We don't know where to go to find this, that, or the other thing. Hopefully this handbook will give you all that information that you could possibly need. It contains, within its pages, if you look at the table of contents, everything from school policies through Edline, AR, anybody you would like to contact within the parish community for any program or service at your disposal. We have color-coded it so that the blue pages are the school policies and procedures. There are many changes in there, so I would ask you if you would make sure that you read that blue section with your sons and daughters so that they are also familiar with that material, especially when it comes to dress code guidelines and what we can wear on spirit wear and dress down days and things like that. Those are important to them. The yellow section contains information of the school directory of all the names and numbers and contact information for programs and organizations and clubs within the school and the parish. And then the last section, the pink pages, you will be bombarded in the next few weeks with a lot of passwords and websites that you will want to have at your fingertips, or your students will want to have at their fingertips. And this is where you can record all that information. We had 3 children that went through Catholic school, and I know the amount of paperwork that comes home, not only with one child, but 3, 4, 5, and it's hard to keep track of all that, especially when you need it. You're sitting at home at night, you're doing some homework, and all of a sudden they say, I didn't understand this. Where can I go to find that information? And you're rifling through that pile of papers, trying to find the right one that's going to help direct your child for the evening. Here you can put all that information in one area, so you can just pick up the handbook and it's there at your fingertips. We hope that you will go through it page by page and look at it. If there is something in there that you as a parent would want to know and can't find it, please email me and let me know, because when we start doing the drafting and rewrite for the following year, we can incorporate all your comments and suggestions. At the end of the handbook is a white sheet. If you would take that and sign off, as well as your sons or daughters sign off, that you have looked through the information and it is clear to you, and then turn that into your child's teacher. The second thing I'm really excited about is, if you haven't looked lately, if you go and Google StRitaSchool.com, you have seen a new website. Through the efforts of 2 of our parents, That website has been redesigned and retooled to be really a help to you and our children, so that the students can access under the Classroom and Homework tab anything that they would need to know for Edline, for AR, any resources they're looking for, their online textbooks. All they have to do is go in there, click that tab, and that information is right at their fingertips. And for us as parents, there's a tab that you can go to that will have all your answers for Edline, for printing out school forms, for ordering online from RDP, for sport, for schoolwear. Anything that you could want to have as part of information as a parent is in that drop-down menu, easily selected for you. We hope that these two tools will help you better navigate all the resources that we have implemented in the past couple of years. This was a way for us to say thank you for your comments, your suggestions. We hope that this is something that you can really use as a source of information for this year and for moving on. Another thing I would like to share with you before I turn it over to our faculty and staff is you may have over the past several months heard the term Common Core Standards. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of misinformation out there, and many people have emailed me about, are we going to be disseminating Mr. Obama's hidden agenda through the state standards or the socialistic and communistic political things that seem to be filtered in and through those standards. We're a Catholic school. We don't promote anybody's political agenda at all. Our curriculum that we provide for your children comes from the diocese. So what happens is, on that diocesan educational level, they take those state and national standards. They have a group of people that study them. They analyze them, and they pick what is going to be the best utilization of standards that are going to keep our children on the cutting edge when it comes to education, so that they are readily prepared for college and beyond. We layer that with our whole Catholicity identity, and that becomes our diocesan curriculum for religion, for math, for social studies, for science, for language arts, for reading, for vocabulary. Anything that we teach in the school comes from the diocese through those guidelines. So are we teaching the Common Core standards? No. Are we teaching exceptional standards for your children? Yes. So you're going to notice some differences when your sons and daughters are coming home with homework and with information that they have gotten from school. There have been two shifts that they look at with our standards that have come from the diocesan office. The first one is the mathematical shift. Each year, teachers are going to spend more time teaching those important areas, focusing on specific content that is appropriate for each of those grade levels, so that we're giving our kids that strong foundation and solid background that they need as they go forward from each grade level to each grade level. Now, as I look out here, so many of you, you're all too young, but in the dark ages when I went to school, that's what we did. We just practiced those foundational things time after time after time. We had a book called New Ways and Numbers. My gosh, you must have had 50 problems on a page. And we went home and we worked those 50 problems. But by golly, when we got to 9th grade, we knew all that math because we had practiced it till we couldn't see straight anymore. We're not going that extreme, but we're going to the point where we're digging deeper, where we really understand and can explain to our students what all those concepts mean and how we apply them. Our standards go like this, in a spiral, from kindergarten to 8th grade, and we level on a period of intensity and depth from grade level to grade level. With that comes a new rigor that they're going to be working really strongly in those content areas in order to grasp that concept and to be able to communicate it. I want to give you an example. From the 6th grade math curriculum, it says, find the area of right triangles, quadrilaterals, and polygons. Okay, that's enough for them to handle, right? Some of us would need a little bit of review, especially me, but we could handle that. Then in grade 7, we're going to solve problems involving scale drawings of geometric figures, including computing actual length and area from scale drawings, and reproducing those scale drawings at a different scale. We've taken that basic information, we put another level of depth and rigor into that standard. Are we repeating the same thing we did in grade 6? No. Now they're applying it. They learned it in grade 6. In grade 7, now we're going to see how that actually works. Then in grade 8, we're going to describe the effect of dilations, translations, rotations, and reflections of two-dimensional figures using coordinates. Does it sound like they're doing the same thing in grade 6? No. Again, another layer of depth and intensity on that subject. So that's what math is going to look like in that shift. Sounds a little boring, but the teachers have actually taken that and made it really exciting. Because the kids are talking about it. They're using some of these tools right now. The other shift is in the area of language arts. We kind of grouped English, reading, and vocabulary into this one component, and we call it ELA. So you'll hear your kids talking about ELA a lot. We did a lot of focusing on literature with fictional things fictional pieces that the kids have read from kindergarten all the way up to grade 8. Well, what's happening in this language arts shift is we're going to be looking more at nonfiction pieces and how we understand and comprehend those nonfiction pieces. So the students are going to learn to read a little bit more carefully and understand the message that an author is trying to convey. Then they're going to look at reading pieces and be able to show evidence that explains the answers to comprehension questions. With that will be the whole emphasis on writing. We know our students can communicate. We listen to them every day. They're really good verbalizing what they need to say. But they're not so hot when it comes to writing what they want to say. So starting in kindergarten, we're going to be working again on that spiral curriculum of layering on writing as well as their English and their reading. They need to be able to express what they want to say, but also to put down on paper what they want to say, comparing pieces of literature, answering the questions of why, how, but actually putting down concrete evidence that goes back to what they've been reading and analyzing, and being able to put that together in a logical progression so that by the time they're in 8th grade, they're writing a research paper and they have all the mechanics that they need in order to analyze the material that they're reading, they're comprehending it, they're understanding it, and then they're able to put it together and explain it. So in a nutshell, that's the language arts shift. And just to give you an example of what that looks like, grade 6, analyze how a particular sentence or paragraph. Grade 7, analyze how a poem structure. contributes to its meaning, building on that thought of analyzing sentences. Grade 8, compare and contrast the structure of 2 or more texts. Analyze how the different structures of each contribute to its meaning and style. So we're layering on, again, that complexity and intensity and rigor to really help our kids be prepared. In the work field, you know that those technical manuals that are out there get more and more technical each year. We haven't done a really good job of helping our students decipher those. So through this language arts shift and that nonfiction piece, they're going to be able to analyze a lot more and comprehend that technical material. That kind of sums it up in a nutshell, where we're shifting. The teachers are going to go into specifics as far as that shift. In each of these shifts, you're probably going to hear a lot of vocabulary, but don't be alarmed by some of the words and terms that you hear the kids coming home with. One of the ones that I've been hearing already is the buzzwords of, conferencing. We've had conferencing already in the classrooms. And to me as a parent, that strikes fear in my heart, that who did you have the conference with and why? This way, in this context of conferencing, the kids are conferencing with the teachers, one-on-one, so they can see exactly where they are, what they understood, and if they didn't, how they can help them. So it kind of structures them in a more individualized level. So we're really excited about that, and we're excited about the changes that we've been able to accomplish as we rolled out this new curriculum. You want to go before I ask for questions? Okay. Before we open it up for questions, if parents remember, last year we rolled out one-to-one iPads with the 8th grade. With the help of auxiliary funds, we were able to also roll out one-to-one iPads for the 7th grade. So this year, all the 8th graders and all the 7th graders will have iPads. We also then, since last year was the experimental year, worked out the kinks and layered on more infrastructure to support that one-to-one iPad technology. So Mrs. Foster is here, our computer guru, to give you some information about that iPad technology.
As Mrs. Gerchik said, I'm Lori Foster. I am the person you contact when you cannot log into Edline. I'm also the person you'll contact when your child can't log into their math book, because K through 8 math, literature, and social studies, their textbooks are online. You have in your packet a one-to-one iPad users policy that we came up with. We're asking you to sign it and for your student to sign it. And we're also asking you to either sign off that you want the insurance or you do not want it. But last year we had 100% of parents sign up. It's $35.21 and it covers theft. It covers theft, it covers water damage, it covers it when your daughter's walking down the hall and it flips and falls face down and cracks. Not that it happened twice last year, but in our first year, we had those two and a few lost cords. So I thought that the kids were fabulous last year. They really took good care of them. The insurance is $35.21. And if you can make it, if you're going to purchase it, make the check out to St. Rita's. Another issue that we have, all of their textbooks have an online app. All of the online textbooks support Flash. The iPads, because they are Apple products, do not support Flash. Our iPads are controlled. I control them. Nothing over age 12 is permitted on these, except we had to find a browser that will work with the textbooks. And we purchased Photon Flash, which is a 17-plus browser. While they are at school, we can control where they go and what they do. But when they are at home, and it's the same as Google, if you don't have filters on your computer, they can go anywhere and do anything with the iPads. They can never instant message. We have blocked that. But they can get to YouTube or any other site. So at home, you may have to monitor them. There's some free, OpenDNS is a good one that parents can use to filter if you want to filter the iPads at home. So we just want you to be aware of that. And I think last year, Mrs. Gerchik, we had collected the iPads and we checked their cache. And the kids were phenomenal. These are a good group of kids. So other than a few minor things, we didn't have any issues. And we are really pioneers with the one-to-one program for 7th and 8th graders. So I'm done now. Thank you.
For those of you who do not know the junior high staff, Mrs. Barb Wilson is an 8th grade teacher, teaches 8th grade science. Mrs. Burry, 8th grade, teaches social studies, 7th and 8th grade. Mrs. Jones, English, language arts, and reading for 7 and 8. And Mr. Richards, math for 7th and 8th. Oh, Mrs. Burry will be teaching 8th grade religion, and 7th grade religion. Who's teaching 8th? Oh, Mrs. Wilson, thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. As the new school year starts, for you 8th grade parents, you're almost done. As 7th grade parents, we do welcome you to our junior high floor. I hope there are no tears so far. That was our mantra this year starting. There is no crying in junior high. So please make sure that we keep it that way. If your child is excessively stressed, we need to hear from you. All right? With that being said, I want to make sure that some of the basics get covered that is across the floor. The first one that I would like to talk to you about is the service requirement. As the 8th grade religion teacher, I'm requiring our students to do 14 hours of service every semester, so that's a total of 28. They have received the handout. I have given you a handout because you're ultimately responsible for getting them where they need to go for most of it. They are required to have one diverse hour, and that means with some kind of marginalized group. So that could be handicapped, that could be elderly, for example. We have a lot of programs at our parish, specifically at St. Rita's, that will help you do that. Our youth group is very involved in taking our children to these different places. We even have a nursing home program in place during the school day where they can get their 1 hour of diversity there. So I have told all the children, if you're having trouble getting the diverse hour, please sign up for the nursing home. We will get you there, we will get you back, and it's a done deal. 7th grade is required to do 9 hours each semester, so that's a total of 18 per year. They know when they can start them, they know when they have to finish them, they know there's a paper that's due at the end. I gave you a copy of everything, so now you know, because we all know our 7th and 8th graders talk to you so much. All right? There's also in that packet the service hour record sheet. Some of the things that they do, like you know they do it, that's the moderator. You can be the moderator if you really know your child served Mass like 3 times over the summer. You can sign off on that instead of getting Mr. Lecco to do it. We trust you. So please make sure that your student knows that that service record has to accompany their written report. We also included in your packet the technology issue, kind of an excuse. If you are truly having an issue with your technology at home, please, as long as you can email us, it's great. If they can send it to us, we'll print it out for them. If your printer, malfunctions, we can do that printing. If you cannot email us because you crashed, that's what that paper is for. You need to sign off that you know your student really tried to do the homework and your computer crashed. And then we'll adjust with the student, we'll talk to them, we'll figure out what a guideline is. We'll say, where is it on a flash drive, can you print it out at school or whatever. So that's what that technology issue paper is in your packet. As far as science fair goes for the 7th graders, today I gave them their science fair packet that tells you the information, what's expected. The bottom line is Saturday, January 25th, they need to be here at school. It is a Saturday. I talked to my basketball players, I talked to my volleyball players. I said, I don't really care what you're doing that day. Tell those coaches, you need to be here from about 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I try to get them out of here. Mostly the students are done by 11:30. So please mark that on your calendar as a mandatory. I really would really feel badly if I have to penalize your child because they didn't put that on their plate, on their calendar. So hopefully you support the academic nature of the science fair. The 8th grade packet has a shadow paper in it. That is where you are to record where your student is going to be on those 3 shadow days. We have talked to the students. They know what they're supposed to be doing. There's all kinds of information starting to come through us from these high schools. They're telling us admission dates and testing dates and open houses. As soon as we get those, we ship that off with your kids. We have already, Mrs. Burry and I have asked them, where do you think you want to go? So if a student is saying, I'm not sure if it's Ignatius, Notre Dame, Walsh, or I might even go to Sullivan, I have no clue. We kind of make sure that when the Walsh stuff comes through, the Ignatius stuff comes through, the Notre Dame stuff comes through, aren't you thinking of going there? And we kind of push it at them so that they see the opportunities that are available to them. If you can, please, once you contact those high schools, please sign off on that, tell us where they're going to be, and get that form back to us. Then we can do our absence counts and figure out who's where and where they're going and those kinds of things. So we'd appreciate that. Finally, your student schedules. I think they know what they're doing after this week. For the 8th grade, I know it was a change, and Mrs. Jones in her class asked the students a series of questions to say, how do you like it? What's hard? What's different? What do you think we're doing good? What do you think we're doing bad? So we've already gotten feedback from your children, and we've addressed some of their concerns. Some of them were saying that my parent is confused. So here we are. This is our opportunity to tell you what's really going on in the classroom. There is, as Mrs. Gurgic said, this push towards this English language arts and this math. So we have in your child's schedule given a 60-minute block to math, a 60-minute block to English, and because of the scheduling, I said, hey, we can make the day longer, kids, and they didn't seem to like that. So, because of the scheduling, we really wanted to do an 80-minute block and an 80-minute block, but we couldn't do it. So we took 20 minutes, that's the ELA, and the 20 minute that should be in math, and we moved those 40 minutes, put them together, and we're calling that core skills. So when your student comes home and says to you, that's a core skills activity, Mom, Dad, I don't have to do it for homework. They are not lying to you. They do not do it for homework. It is really supposed to be an in-class, independent learning situation. And that's really what the push is. They're wanting our students to become more independent. So we instruct, and then they are to do it on their own. And then come back, and then we talk about it. It is monitored by a teacher. We don't just leave them hanging out there to dry. But it's really supposed to be independent, and it's supposed to be under the guidance of a teacher. It is not homework. So if your child is coming home with 4 hours of core skills, they're probably not doing what they're supposed to be doing as far as organizing their workload. It's all organization. We are giving them multiple activities, and they have to figure out, I have 3 core skills classes, 40 minutes apart, I can do this fast, and I'm going to be done by the time it's due. This last week and a half, it was all a testing period. We were seeing how they pace themselves. How much can we give them as part of the curriculum that they would be able to handle? And that's where the adjustment came in. We are starting with the ELA program. Mrs. Jones is kind of the push behind this whole core skills section. Mr. Richards is second in line, if you want to think of it that way. He comes in and he says, I have this extra 20 minutes that I would really have liked to have taught in class, but I didn't get to. Please put that in core skills. And he tells the students that. Mrs. Burry and I are like last. Okay? We are the ones that are just filtering in right now, supplementing Mrs. Jones, Mr. Richards, because the final goal is really that core skills deals across the curriculum. So when I first gave out my writing assignment in science, they were confused. I said, no, this is core skills too. You're learning vocabulary in science. You're learning to read science closely. You're learning to read your social studies text more closely. You're looking for vocab, context, all that stuff that used to be like reading. Well, now reading is really in science and social studies and math. And that's what this core skills section is all about. Promoting that, getting our students to do that. When this first came down from the diocese and we looked at what we had been teaching, we determined that we were already kind of doing it. Not as much as they want us to do, but we were giving them huge essays in class to write. The writing was already there. We were already giving them vocab words. So we are now being, asked to add to that, supplement that, pay more attention to that, and that's what that core skill block is doing for your child. It's more educational time. Maybe that's why they're not thrilled about it. But that's really what that 40-minute block is. So if they come home confused, don't worry. We've told them time and time again, just hang on, just keep going. We're working this through together. So Mrs. Jones does have a handout for this week's core skill lessons. And the students get those. And we have them for you so you can see once again what your student is doing. And it itemizes. She spends a lot of time on this. She itemizes every assignment, has it all mapped out. And we want to make sure that you kind of see how it's flowing. And then, like I said, it's all in class. So they will be getting social studies work to do. My science was reading and answering and making up a paragraph. So they're getting the writing and the reading in all the content areas, hopefully in that core skills. Sure, let me think. Yes? Right, core skills is English language arts. If it's a core skills thing, it's an English language arts. If it's a core skills math thing, it'll be math and science. And actually, I have one, you have one, I just have to post it. And we told the kids we kind of wait to post because there's nothing worse than seeing your first assignment and you got like a 2 out of 5 and then all of a sudden you got an F in the class. They freak out. They don't understand that you're going to get 300 points by the end of the semester or the quarter. Yes, Mrs. Schiffer.
How much homework should we expect our kids to have? Because I'm asking my 7th grade and he says, oh no, I can't do that at home. I have to do that in class because it's core skills. And I don't have anything else to do, which surprises me, given my experience with my other children.
Yeah, it's really the first week. I don't know, your son has a test for me tomorrow.
That's good to know.
I'm just saying. And a quiz for social studies. As a matter of fact, every child in this room has a test for me tomorrow. So there's no love lost in science.
And everything's posted on Edline.
All the homework, quizzes, tests, it's all on Edline, on the calendar. If you go to my calendar, there should be no surprises for you or for them. They certainly are there, they know. Okay. So you should know what's coming up. It's basically the first week. There's a lot of pre-testing that goes on in the first week. You have to get a baseline. You don't want to reteach what they already know. As far as getting into the kind of the actual curriculum, getting into the subject area, we're working into it now. 7th grade does have a quiz tomorrow in social studies. I hope that's not a surprise for anybody, but that's their first quiz. Okay, I was going to talk about that they do have a study hall every day. Core Skills is not a study hall. Okay, they have certain assignments they work on in Core Skills, and they don't work on anywhere else. Excuse me. But they do have a study hall every day. They have 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes at the end of the day from 2:20 to 2:45, where they sit, in my class they sit silently until they can learn to speak quietly. So they sit and they work in that study hall for them. They do have the opportunity to go see any teachers they need to see, to ask about anything. If they can keep the volume down, and this week was not good, they were good at that, but maybe next week they will be, they can work in small groups together in that study hall. So that is every day they have that opportunity. They also, of course, can see the teachers in the morning, at lunchtime, or when they're in their classes. Okay? Questions? Is there anything else we had to cover? Yes?
As far as the acreage shadowing, do you get the booklets from the Catholic schools that lists all of
We haven't gotten those yet. The question is about the booklets. The diocese publishes a booklet that lists all the Catholic schools, their email addresses, phone numbers, contact information. Those just came, so they'll be getting those pretty soon. You'll have all that. Most of the shadowing is now scheduled online. You don't have to call. Most of it's done online. They should, and I haven't checked every high school site, but they should tell you what your child should wear. Should they bring a lunch? Will lunch be provided for them? What they can expect during the day. Do you have someone you want to shadow with? What are their interests? Most of the schools will ask that. They don't want to put someone who's really interested in drama with a soccer player who's never done anything in drama. They want to match kids up with students at their school that are interested in what they're interested in. They're selling their school to you for the most part, the private schools at least. They want your child to come there. So they want to make it a good experience, so they're asking for information. If you have any questions about, and you do schedule the shadowing, we don't do that. But if you have any questions specifically about a certain school, or you're not getting the information you need, please let me know or Mrs. Wilson know. We'll help you with that. Okay. Okay, we'll pass them on tomorrow, or yeah, they'll be coming home tomorrow, so look for them. Okay. Question in the back? Yes.
I just want to go back to that core skills one more time.
Sure.
So children have this core skills class, this work that's given depending on what they're going to study as far as the major subject matter is. For that 20 minutes a day, that's required to be done in class.
It's 40 minutes. It's a 40-minute class.
40 minutes a day in
Right.
class on that subject matter.
Right.
Now, there are other class assignments, they go to regular classes, they'll get assigned homework that they'll do at home, or do it in their study hall, and their core skills classwork will be done in the classroom and monitored by the teacher, so they don't think that they have to go home and complete what they're trying to do with core skills.
That's true, right.
And then you're gonna contact us if they're not doing core skills classes or where you think they should be in that classroom time.
Right, so far we've not had any problems with
Okay.
that.
I know, but as the year goes on. and they
Oh,
start-
sure, well, absolutely, yeah, if there's a problem,
So that's where that's gonna stay.
Right.
In that class, and then
Right.
they'll be notified if there's some slack
Right.
going on. But
Right.
there are other classes will be done in their specific
Right.
time period,
Just-
and that work has got to be done at the
Yes.
end of the day of the study hall.
right. For example, core skills, my core skills assignment addresses the ability to read a technical paragraph, a textbook, not paragraph, but a passage in the textbook, draw conclusions, and be able to write a paragraph explaining what your conclusion was and what evidence from the text you used to reach that conclusion. Okay, because that's a core skill, that's a common core skill to be able to make inferences, draw conclusions, and cite evidence for that. Mrs. Jones will do that in reading in ELA. Mrs. Wilson will do that in science. It's just you're doing the same, practicing the same skill, but across the curriculum. So they don't get bored with it's just English or it's just math. So we pull our subject area into it. But it's only in core skills, only in that class. They will work at their own pace. Some kids are getting done pretty quickly. And then we tell them they always have to have a book to read, so they can do sustained silent reading. If they have no other core skills, nobody's totally caught up because we're working out the timeline. How much work to give them, how to pace them. They're supposed to pace themselves, work independently. We're trying to see how long it takes them to do certain things, accomplish certain tasks, where they struggle. So, what do we need to focus on maybe a little more? Is it writing? Is it reading? A skill called reading closely, close reading. Being able to read and not just get the main idea, but the details and the evidence. And can they use text to support a writing assignment? So it's reading and writing, and it's across the curriculum, like I said, in all the subject areas. So, but it's only in that core skill class. It's never homework. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to add something also about your question with where the grades are put and everything. They will be on Edline, and also since I'm the one who gives most of the core skills work, I have them putting on the board homework so they know what their homework is, and then I say CS and they know what that means, core skills, so they know what to do with core skills. And that coordinates with the schedule I gave them, and it's also on Edline too if you want to print one out at home. But it's there. I saw a lot of light bulbs going off in the last few days. They're really starting to get it, I think. But I mean, we know it's a work in progress. But I don't know if that clarifies it a little more too.
Because I just want to reiterate to my child what they need to do at home.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up another point. We've had some pretty heavy conversations with the kids too. If, they're working on this time management skill, if they see that they know that they won't be able to get something completed in core skills, they say, oh, okay, maybe I should bring this home tonight because tomorrow I know that I have this other assignment that I can do in core skills. So it's just trying to figure out what works best for them too. Some of the kids asked if they could work ahead in the ELA, vocab books and stuff, and with the schedules, I said I can't control if you work ahead or not. So, I mean, if you want to, it's expected of you, then you can. But you're going to be sitting for 40 minutes either silently reading or working on another assignment. So it's just,
But they shouldn't feel any pressure that they're not finishing something in core skills. They would want to take off that core skills
Yes.
time period, right?
yes, exactly. It's not due at the end of that core skills period.
How much time do they then have to finish the course? So if you pay something in one day and they just finish it in 40 minutes, do they have the rest of the week to finish it? Do they have Tuesday?
It
Like they take it home, I mean, are they allowed to finish it?
That's what if they see that they're catching up to closer to the due date, because I wouldn't make something due the next day. So if they're getting closer to the due date and they're seeing, oh boy, I have to finish this, then yeah, they will take it home. But the intention isn't to load on everything in the core skills and to have any homework. And so that they can have the teachers at their disposal to ask questions and stuff like that also when they're in core skills. That's a good question. In ELA this year, since we're doing all the different components, the vocab, reading and writing, the way I designed the curriculum schedule is to have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, reading and writing the first half of class, and then the second half of class we'll be focusing on grammar. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll still do the reading and writing, and then the second half of class is all the vocab, the word wisdom. So we get to go over their work, and they can prepare for the post-test and stuff like that.
I assigned 8th grade a social studies core skills assignment, and I did. As they started, I went over with them. Mrs. Wilson did when A2 was in core skills. If they had any questions, I was available, and then nobody was on the wrong path. They understood it, and I checked it. Everybody's basically turned it in, and everybody did it fine. So yeah, there's always a teacher monitoring it. They're available for questions. So, you know, so far it's working out all right. We're just mainly working on the timing. What to do when, how much time, that kind of thing.
I'm not sure if I understand the mechanics. Are the core skills being done in, let's say, for a social studies class that we started, or is it during the core skills class period? And then they have their assignments on like Monday, a week, and then they know what to do by Friday? Or how does it happen? And then someone mentioned Mr. Richards, that he might do something in core skills and you get to it, teach it. But I would think that could happen, teach it, and it would just be like paper, right? So how are the mechanics?
It is assigned in the class, and that's, the kids have said that, told us that they understand that, but I don't know if that's true when they go home. But it is assigned in the class, and they know that they are supposed to work on it in core skills. Is that what you were asking?
Right, so they get, like, with English course, they get it in English, but if you guys all talk and plan for the week, how many people are assigned to core skills?
They have my schedule, so they know like, oh, this day looks like they're really not going to have much to work on, so let's focus on the science content area with the vocab and stuff like that, and we'll try and rotate as much as we can. And they'll get it assigned in whatever class from that teacher, and then they know that they have to work on it in core skills. Mrs. Sanziola?
Yeah, just to reiterate, I just want to make sure, because I understood first they said they're not supposed to take it home, it's supposed to be something done in school, but now you're saying that they can't take it home if they haven't finished it and it's due, you can take it home. Because I kind of understood that this is supposed to be something that they're supposed to work on and be able to independently be able to complete the assignment without maybe extra help at home kind of thing versus doing it at school and learning how to do something like that. Because they will have that when they get older. But can they take it home if they're not done? Or is it more encouraged to have them do it in school and then not have to take it home?
It is encouraged to have them do it at school, but we know that there's some kids that are going to take it home because they really just want to get things done and in order, and we can't really control that. So, but yes, the emphasis is supposed to be in school.
And they can work ahead. Like if they
Yes.
have stuff that's not due or whatever, and you guys give it to them, they can finish whatever they want to finish before it's actually, like, and if they wanted to get ahead, could they take it home to get ahead? Or do you want them to do it?
That's where we try and draw the line. Like if you want to get ahead, take it home, just try not to do that. But since you have your whole schedule, you can get ahead in core skills in the core skills class. But the intention was not to be
Not to add just homework. Trust me, your child does not want any more homework. Most of them do not. Just today, my students were going to core skills, and they're like, I'm already almost done with the math that's due September 10th or something. They did that. They chose to get that done first, and then they're gonna work on the ELA part. So and then the other student is like, I gotta do the ELA because I'm no good at grammar, and I gotta do this, and I'm waiting on math because I don't like math. So they're already self-motivated and self-checking. They really are. It was amazing because one of the first days they're like, well, I can work on math in here, right? And I'm like, that's absolutely right. And they're like, oh, okay. And they were getting it. And they don't want to do it at home. And that's really what we want for them as well. Homework is homework. ELA is an core skills is an extension of what should really be happening in the classroom under teacher supervision. It's that part of that 80 minutes that we just physically can't handle in our schedule unless we get all the buses to make a longer day. And that's not going to happen.
Not with all those districts.
Are you feeling better about it? It's usually what I ask my kids, but is it making sense? The bigger picture? Yes. Yeah, it's like close reading, which they should already know how to do. It's that practice. So if they're still stumbling, if it's vocabulary that they should know, especially for my content area, I'm going to tell them, okay, now I'm going to introduce this word. Maybe 2 years ago, I didn't have the time to introduce that word. So now it's like, oh, great, I got another 20 minutes here. I can give this activity to where I wish I could have done it last year, but I didn't have time. Yeah, well, yeah, it's really following the curriculum. It's really following the curriculum. Getting to all those things. And that's what I just told the students the other day. I said, don't you always hear teachers saying, we're running out of time. We have to get this piece into you and this piece into you before you leave. And the kids all knew what I was talking about. And I said, now we can do that. And they're all like, oh, good. So, yeah, do you understand that? Yeah, we are talking nonstop to each other. The support team, really, right now, Mrs. Burry and I really are the support, first to Mrs. Jones and then to Mr. Richards, and we will ask them, do you want anything from us at this point? And then they'll say, yeah, I could really use something for Friday. And then that's when we'll say, oh, I got this activity that I would like them to do and see what they do. And then, so right now, as the start of this process happens, we're really focusing on the English language arts and the math, because that's where the diocese and the curriculum has come out for, right now. So in the long run, it'll be more balanced.
I did have one announcement for 8th grade parents. It came to my attention after we had disseminated the calendar at the end of last year that graduation was on a day that was in conflict with several parents who have seniors who will also be graduating. I know how hard that is to be able to think about who's more important and how do you explain that to your child. I didn't realize when we put together that calendar that there were so many high schools that were graduating on that day. So we have moved the graduation date. We did consult all the area high schools this time, public and private, to make sure that, as far as I know, from all the phone calls that I made, from all the high schools that might have seniors that are graduating this year, that the date we picked is not a conflict. Because I don't want anybody to be put in that situation where they're full of angst because where are they going to go, what are they going to do? So the graduation date, and I included on the calendar everywhere, is Monday, June 2nd. So it's Monday, June 2nd, that evening for 8th grade parents. And then for sign up for conferences in the fall, because we have this exciting new website, your conference signups will be online. So look for that towards the end of September. To appear there, we will send you an email blast that tells you it is up and ready so that you can log in, put your name in that slot, and you'll see if it's open or if it's taken. So we're using the technology that has been provided for us, so all conference signups will be online. Were there any other questions? Yes. Do you have this date for Cedar Point? Okay, so not yet. Until we check all things? Okay. So as soon as we have those dates, we can give them to you.
As soon as we know that.
How about the 8th grade field trip date? We're waiting for the travel company?
Yeah, we have to work on that too. They could be like the same, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So as soon as we firm that out, we'll, actually, this is sensitive. We miss you. We need to talk. So we want to get through this week, we want to get through that graduation issue.
All those trips kind of depended on if we could have that date for graduation so we can open it up. And now we can go back to the calendar. Sure.
Talk about how that is a format of the classroom because my son was saying it's very different than the teacher last year. I just wanted to hear mine relate out how
Good question. Thank you. Yeah.
I am making some videos online using the iPad that we have and putting those with links to Headline. So far, I've made a couple for 7.3, made a couple for 7.4, no, one for 7.4 because they were begging for one. I don't know. And one for 8.3. Now, what we were able to do with math this year, 7th grade math and 8th grade math are the same math that we've had here for a while. If we weren't able to level off the classes a little bit, we would be still having every 7th grader taking 7th grade math and every 8th grader taking 8th grade math. What we were able to do in building this new schedule was to take a look at the students. Take a look at how they've performed in their math classes the past few years, to take a look at their Iowa scores, to take a look at some placement tests that we gave them back in the spring, both that I gave the 6th graders and that the 7th graders were also given. With all of this data, and a giant group of people looked at all this information and put forth some lists, and we came up with classes. And that's what they are for right now. So we have the AMAs, or the normal 7th grade, the normal 8th grade, and then we were able to build in an Algebra 1 piece and a pre-algebra piece for the 7th grade. Now, a progression for, as I told the 7th grade pre-algebra students, if you're successful in this class, you should be able to go right into Algebra 1 for 8th grade. If not, well, then you can see where we're at. There still is, as far as I know, a little bit of flexibility in the current lists this year. So just because your child might be in the 7th grade regular class, and you might say, well, could they be ready for pre-algebra? That's a conversation that we can have as a team with Mrs. Hergic and you one-on-one, case by case, taking a look at the data, taking a look at what they're doing so far this year. If your child proves themselves, then there's no reason to to say, oh no, you are going to stay in this class because that's what we're doing. That's not the way I think any of us envisioned it. Does that answer the question?
My question is more about how the class, the structure of your class, for example, in past years that something would be taught, they would take notes, you have those notes to use to help them in his homework at home. It seemed like it was different this year, and he was having a tougher time. You know, he did have something for math, questions, was different than what was covered in class. Enough that he gave them something to talk about.
So I answered a completely different question.
Mr. Richards,
What?
please tell us what Amy's question is.
The question was, is there something different this way, or this year, the way things are being taught that might be making the homework completion a little more difficult and kind of the flow of the class? Okay. And actually, we're lucky we're at 60. The 60-minute classes will come in, they'll have a warm-up set of questions, whether it's 3 questions or 5 questions, either on the previous day's lesson or kind of a spiral review as the year goes on. Well, let's pull something from October that we did in December, just to keep things fresh. Then we'll review the homework, giving them every opportunity to ask questions, to work together, make sure they understand what's going on. At that point then, there'll be some type of classwork activity, whether it's 5 questions or 1 big question, that I would grade point for point. My homework philosophy has been, and this is in a lot of the literature that's been passed out, if you complete it, if you've shown work, and it's on time, I'm going to give you the points for homework. Then where me making sure that your children are understanding what they're doing before the quizzes and tests comes with these classwork pieces. So they'll turn that in, then we'll do some notes or some type of activity for the next night's homework, for that night's homework, and then they'll have a chance for that homework. So it kind of goes, okay, we're going to warm up, we're going to check the homework, we're going to do some kind of classwork piece based on that previous day's assignment. Then we'll work on what's next. And then they'll have an opportunity to practice that and finish it up at home. I'm still working on the 60-minute structure. Might things change a little bit as time goes on? Sure. I'll see what's working for them. And hopefully, we'll find something that works for everybody. But the new books do allow us to take notes. Which class? I'm sorry. Which classes?
It's your
Okay, yeah. That's, yeah, okay, that book is the hard book where they're not taking the notes in. They'll be taking the notes actually on the notebook paper in their binders. Yeah. In algebra, as the material gets more difficult, the videos will show up as well. And so the videos are there. And sorry, I have a 9-month-old at home. If I seem tired and exhausted, it's because I'm tired and exhausted. Not only will there be my videos and some of the PDF, just static notes that I'll put up there to help them. There'll also be, the textbook has videos and tutors online as well. That I'm not sure if they can do on the iPads. I think they can, but they'll definitely be able to do it on a regular computer as well. So there's going to be a lot. So if he continues to kind of have some issues, he can see me here. We'll figure that out. Math questions? So, Paul, you've got me here. Mrs. Trimble?
They can do that on the iPad.
Okay.
Just to verify, and they're awesome.
Thanks. Dr. Santilli?
What is the difference between, say, a pre-algebra and a regular math versus is it going faster than what they would normally do with the other ones? Or, I mean, I don't know the difference.
It's going a little bit faster and a little bit beyond. The 7th grade class follows the diocesan 7th grade standards. And maybe a little bit of 8th grade towards the end. For the 7th grade, for the 7th grade class. The 7-4 pre-algebra class does have to move at a little bit of a faster pace to cover the 7th grade standards and some of the 8th grade standards. So when they then get to Algebra 1, they can cover both the 8th grade standards and some high school standards as well. Probably not. I'll announce them about a week in advance, and they'll be on Headline. I know one class had a quiz today, the algebra class, of 5 questions. It's a little kind of mini quiz that I let them know 2 days ago, but for the most part, there'll be plenty of advance notice. There'll be reviews. I'm toying around with the iPads allow for, there's an app where you can do, like I can sit at home playing with my son and be writing.
We're not toying with that. My son is assured that you can talk to you on his iPad.
Talking might not be as much, but being able to write.
Right.
But basically, yeah, the night before quiz, I put a link on Headline saying if you go to this certain board with this app, and I explain this all to students too, basically they could log on at 7:30 and ask any question they want the night before a quiz. Not every quiz, not every test. We might have a couple bad diapers during that. I don't know, but I mean, I'm going to try my best to be there as much as I can so they can be successful.
Or the, I don't even know the textbook, I thought my son had mentioned after, like, next week or something, that was return to textbook from school.
No, the pre-algebra class has a hardbound textbook and a note workbook.
Okay, that would be something you just have to look at online.
Yeah, and the thing with the online books is the current version of the app, you have to be internet connected. So if you're on your home Wi-Fi or the school Wi-Fi, they can do the textbooks. But if you're not on Wi-Fi, obviously you're traveling somewhere, the app requires a constant internet connection to be able to work. So no, they'll keep the books all year. Mrs. Blanco? It's all Mrs. Gertrude, and I'm just here. Doing what I do and trying.
Again, that came from the feedback from parents. So what I said before, when the information you gave me, I take very seriously. And so then collected a bunch of people together from our staff and said, okay, we have the best and the brightest right here. Let's think of what we can do to help our kids feel successful. Because a lot of times they don't. And it saddens me and it disheartens all of us when we hear them say, oh man, I hate this because I can't get it. So that was the driving force behind it, was not to have anybody have that defeatist attitude before they really start. So that started us brainstorming in order to create, hopefully, a scenario that helps the kids succeed.
And one other thing about, one other thing. We have the wonderful Mrs. Uvegas, who is here 3 days a week, who will be coming in to the math classrooms as well from time to time to also provide some assistance to all the students who may or may not be getting something, or who may be needing a little bit of a push. And that's something that we're still working on the schedule, working on those things, but that's another area of support that we'll have for math this year. Are there any other questions, math or otherwise? This is very good.
If there aren't any more questions, going once, going twice, this is your opportunity. Hit us now. Hit us hard. Yes. For, yes, yes. They have social studies and science textbooks too.
And any children, we have to have copies of everything. And I address that with the kids, is some of you are not ready to read the text at all. And they're like, yeah, I'm gonna head. So just let us know. I heard it before. And I don't have to mind.
Mrs. Foster may not have addressed this, but there was an iPad question that came up for 7th and 8th grade. we cannot disseminate the iPads until you return the acceptable use policy to us, and also if you're taking the insurance out on the iPads. So when we get those two pieces of information back, which we're hoping will be next week, then we can start disseminating the iPads to all the children. Because they're ready to go, they've been imaged, they're all set. There's about 8 boxes in my office I'm ready to push out and make room for other things, but right now that's where they are and they're ready to go. We do have the hard-sided covers that they will get with each of them. Really, last year we were very grateful that the kids really took care of them. I mean, they knew when I told them as they were getting them, these are school tools. They're not your personal iPads that you can go and do whatever you want with. We do sync them, I check them, and so if you don't want me to see what you're doing, don't put it on there. But we did have a couple of casualties last year, so those parents that took that insurance policy were most grateful, as we boxed up the iPads, sent them back in, and they produced new ones for the kids to have at their disposal. And when they were gone, because some of them were like really destroyed, we gave them one of our iPads in order to keep them on task during the school week. Yes?
With the insurance, does that cover like everything, or is there a deductible with your insurance? Because like with my cell phone, I had insurance, but I can still...
No, this is just straight insurance coverage. We're not going to scam you for anything else. Once you pay that fee, that's it. That's a good question. Thank you. Any others? Okay, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. We work well with you, and we want you to work well with us and have a great year. Thank you.